Have you ever had that strange, creeping feeling that your life isn't really your own? That somehow, the choices you made, your career, your relationships, even your personality, were shaped by something outside of you? Carl Jung would tell you, you're not crazy. You're waking up. According to Jung, the first half of our life, especially up to our 40s, is not truly lived as ourselves. It's lived as the version of us we think the world wants. We become what he called the persona, a carefully crafted social mask designed to survive, succeed, and be accepted. We learn how to smile when we're uncomfortable. We chase praise instead of purpose. We become doctors because our parents wanted us to. We say, "I'm fine," when we're quietly falling apart. The tragedy? Most people don't even realize they're doing it, because society celebrates the mask. You get rewarded for being likable, promoted for being efficient, loved for being agreeable. But Jung argued, none of that is truly you. In fact, he warned that if we don't question the persona, we risk becoming estranged from our own soul. We start living a life that's outwardly successful, but inwardly hollow. So ask yourself honestly, have you ever achieved something big and felt nothing? That's the persona winning. That's your true self, the self waiting for permission to return. Jung believed that around age 35 to 40, a natural inner crisis begins. Not because life is going wrong, but because your soul is trying to wake you up. The life you built may look stable on the outside, but the inside is whispering, this isn't it. And if you ignore that voice, it doesn't go away. It gets louder. But what happens next, after the awakening? You've spent decades building a life that looks good on paper, and now you realize it's not really yours. This is not a gentle realization. It hits like a wave, and suddenly, everything you thought you were begins to fall apart. Jung called this stage the dark night of the soul. It's when the persona, the mask, starts to crack, and what lies underneath isn't clear yet. You may feel lost, detached from the job you used to love, strangely distant in your own relationships. You start asking terrifying questions. Why am I here? Is this it? Who am I if I'm not this? You're not just doubting your career. You question your marriage, your faith. Even the dreams you once chased feel foreign now. And this is where most people panic, because when the mask falls off, you're not left with a new identity. You're left with nothing, for a while. That's the part no one warns you about. The in-between, the void. But Jung insisted, this is not a failure, it's the beginning of something sacred. It's called individuation, the process of becoming whole. Not the version of you the world applauds, but the version that is real. And real isn't always pretty. It means facing the parts of you you've buried, the anger, the shame, the jealousy, the fear. It means grieving who you were without knowing who you're becoming. This is the hardest part, because it feels like a death, and in many ways it is. The death of the perfect image, the death of being what others wanted, the death of certainty. But here's the truth Jung left us with. If you can stay with the discomfort, if you can resist the urge to run back to the mask, you will meet someone extraordinary. Yourself. What if I told you the parts of yourself you've spent a lifetime hiding are actually the most powerful parts of you? Jung believed that every person carries a shadow, the unconscious side of our personality, that holds all the traits we deny, reject, or feel ashamed of. Your anger, your jealousy, your selfishness, your fear. We don't erase these parts, we just push them underground. And that's when they become dangerous. Because what we don't accept in ourselves, we start seeing in others. This is what Jung called projection. Ever notice how the traits that irritate you most in others are often things you secretly struggle with too? The co-worker who's too arrogant maybe reminds you of the confidence you were never allowed to show. The friend who's too needy perhaps touches the loneliness you keep buried. It's not that they're perfect, but your reaction, that's a clue, a mirror. This is your shadow trying to talk to you. And the shadow doesn't just live in emotion, it shows up in behavior too. The overachiever who burns out because they can't stop proving they're enough. The helper who resents everyone because they never ask for help. The nice one who's quietly furious inside. These are not flaws. They are unintegrated truths. The shadow holds your pain, but also your creativity, passion, and power. But here's the catch. Shadow work is hard, because facing these parts of yourself feels like betraying your image. And this is where archetypes start to surface. Jung believed that deep in our psyche live universal characters. The hero, the child, the outcast, the sage. You're not just reacting to life, you're playing roles written long before you were born. The people you attract, the stories you repeat, the pain you carry, they're often echoes of the archetypes trying to be seen. Individuation, Jung said, is not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming conscious, to realize that what you hate in others is also in you. And what you love in others is also possible in you. You're not just a collection of labels and habits. You're a living myth, waiting to remember itself. If the first half of life is about building the mask, then the second half is about taking it off. But here's the truth no one tells you. The moment you begin to awaken, you won't feel powerful. You'll feel raw, exposed, uncertain. That's because you're not arriving anywhere. You're unlearning everything that isn't you. And that's terrifying. There's no map, no guaranteed outcome. Just this quiet, uncomfortable honesty. You're no longer who you were. And you're not yet who you're becoming. Jung compared this process to alchemy, a psychological transformation, where the old self is burned down and something more real begins to emerge. It's not about controlling the outcome, it's about staying in the fire long enough for truth to be revealed. That's what most people avoid. They go back to the familiar, to the job, to the mask, to the performance. Because pretending is easier than feeling lost. But Jung left us with a challenge. To become who you truly are, you must let go of who you never really were. The second half of life is not about chasing success, it's about creating meaning. It's not about fixing yourself, it's about realizing you were never broken. You don't need more approval. You need more presence, not more answers, but deeper questions like, what makes me come alive? What am I here to serve? What parts of me still live in the dark? And perhaps most importantly, am I brave enough to be real, even if it costs me everything I built to impress others? Because here's the final paradox. The more you let go, the more you find yourself. And when you stop trying to be someone, you finally meet the one person who's been waiting all along. Your true self.